Hi traders, thanks for stopping by thetradinganalyst.com. This is Taylor and we're going to take a look at a lot of charts here, and I'm going to go over my analysis and my thought process, and you're going to walk away from this video with some newfound knowledge on technical analysis as well as hopefully some profitable trade ideas based off of this analysis. But first, if you're not already a member at thetradinganalyst.com, go ahead and give us a visit on the home page of the website and get to know us a little bit better. If you like these free videos and analysis that we give to you on a daily basis, it's nothing in comparison to the membership you get once you sign up with that premium membership. Once you sign up with the premium membership, you're going to gain instant access to the profitable trade alerts that our current members are loving and getting on a daily and weekly basis. It's a great opportunity, and we'd love to help you with your trading. Alright, so let's take a look at some charts here. We're going to start off with Amazon. And I'm going to go over a lot of things here, so you really got to pay attention. So first and foremost, I think that Amazon is going to head lower from here. It's been a very strong stock. As you can see, since 2016, early 2016, we've headed a lot higher. And you can see the trend has been very strong. But stocks don't move in straight directions. A lot of times they need to see some consolidation. So in this case, we need to see some consolidation to the downside before potentially resuming higher. So why do I think that Amazon is going to head lower? Well, we've got a couple of things here. So we've got right here, this day right here, huge red candle on heavy volume. As you can see, we headed lower. The following day, this was a reaction to earnings. Another huge volume day right there as we headed lower. So selling up here, selling down here, and then the following day right here, another big volume day. So you can see it right here. A lot of volume right there for Amazon coming out of this stock. You can see right here, another big, it's this day right here. See another big red day right here with some big volume right here. Alright, and then you can see the next several days right here, not huge volume, but definitely above the average right here. So we've got a lot of selling and a lot of volume. Okay, and we have this false breakout look as well. So we broke out over this resistance. So here's that resistance, very clear resistance. We broke over it right here, came back down, acted as support, headed higher, and then boom, we broke back below it. So this is a false breakout as well for Amazon. If you look at the weekly chart here, you can see we've got this huge inverted hammer right here, followed by a red candle right here the following week. Now, let's look at this chart here and see if we can find any other inverted hammers at the highs. So here was an inverted hammer right here, and we headed lower from there. As you can see, it bounced right there, but this was when we had already headed down. So an inverted hammer would have to be kind of at these highs in order for it to count something like this. So we're going to go back. I don't see any. I don't see any. I don't see any inverted hammers here. Okay? Going back all the way to 2009, there's no inverted hammers here on the weekly chart here at highs. Okay? None. Alright? So we've got this big reversal candle here with a confirmation candle the next candle. Alright? So I'm going to go back to the daily chart here again. Not only that, but we also have a trend line break right here. So in the beginning of 2016, this is about February, we started a trend here. We've got one touch there. You can see we bounced off of it several times here, 3 times in a row. You can see we bounced off of it right here again. So that's 5 touches right here, 6 touches, 7 touches, 8 touches, and then we finally broke through. So 8 touches on a trend line that's been keeping this stock up for about 2 years now. Alright, so it's a huge trend line break. We also have a significant break below the 50-day moving average, which is the red line right here. All right. We also have the 20-day simple moving average, which is the blue line, which is now crossing below that 50-day simple moving average. All right. So we've got a lot of volume. We've got a lot of trend line breaks. We've got this reversal candle up here on the weekly chart. And we've also got this big pattern right here with support. So here's that support, support, support here, support here. So we're just trading sideways kind of in this range, boxing up. So we're building up energy. We're building up energy for that next move lower. And this is a big pattern, okay? This is a big pattern, and I do think it's going to lead to a significant downside on Amazon. You know, we don't like to just short in quote-unquote bullish market here for no reason. We've got a lot of reasons here that we pointed out. A lot of volume coming out here. So as far as targets here, first conservative target is about 908. You can see there's previous resistance right there. So that level, I'm very confident is going to hit. The next target would be right here, about 860, and that's based off of this previous resistance right there. That's a bigger level than that level. I do think this level is going to hit, and it's got a little more support just below it, about 840, okay, based off of these previous highs. So I do think that if and when we do head lower, that we could definitely see some kind of a reaction off of this 840 to 860 level right here. And if we do end up getting a bounce there, that could be a reshort opportunity. Just really depends on what we kind of see as far as volume and patterns and all that. But definitely think that 908 and then 860 to 840 is going to get hit eventually. So be on the lookout for that on Amazon. The next one we're going to take a look at is Home Depot. And Home Depot, let me just kind of delete some of this stuff so you can see it better. I'll just go over what that writing says. I'm going to delete this as well. Okay, so we've got some levels here that I want to point out here. So we've got, first of all, this downtrend right here. Here's a high, lower high, and then a lower high right here. We've got lows, lows, lower low, and then another lower low right here. So we're in a short-term downtrend. Obviously, if you look at this chart, it's in an uptrend, especially if you look at, you know, the end of 2016. Very big uptrend. So I do think that Home Depot is going to be headed lower, and I'm going to go over exactly why. So we already got that downtrend, the lower lows, lower highs. If you look here, we're going to look at some volume. So you can see right here, this day right here coincides with this volume right there. And don't let that color of the volume fool you. This is green volume because we closed over the previous candle's close, but as you can see, we made a high and then we dipped after that. So clearly there was a lot of selling here, and you can see that in the volume. Next volume we're going to look at is right here. You can see this red day right there saw a lot of volume selling as well. Next we're going to look at this day right here. You can see inverted hammer right here. See, we headed a little bit higher after that, but then tanked lower after that with yet another big red volume day right here that coincides with this big red down day as well. Then we're going to look here, and you don't really see any bigger volume green days, okay? So on the green days that we had higher, it's on low volume, low volume, low volume, okay? And then right here, another huge selling day right here, followed by a couple of other pretty big volume days as well on some red days. And then look at this. We headed higher here. Big, big bounce here. But look at the volume. No volume. And then boom, what do you know? Right here, big red volume. Next day, big red volume. And then we've got this day right here. big red volume as well. So a lot of selling, I hope this makes sense to you, a lot of selling is going on here for Home Depot. This is very simple stuff here that anyone can look at. Another thing I want to point out here is we're below this 50-day moving average. Obviously, we've kind of broken back over it a little bit on this time, but I really think that this is going to be kind of the last time that we kind of flirt with it a little bit before breaking lower. So I think that if we do get a bounce, you can see there's kind of a bullish engulfing candle here, but look at the volume. No volume. Okay, no volume. So if we do get a bounce here on Home Depot near 152, I think that's going to get rejected. And I do think we're going to come down here and tag this previous resistance here. You can see there's resistance there, a little bit there, here, here. I think we're going to come down to retest that. That level is right around 140. So 140 I think is going to get hit. 152 I think is the most ideal entry on that short. The next one we're going to take a look at is American Airlines. Alright, so here we are on American Airlines, and I do think that this one is going to be headed lower as well, and I'm going to go over exactly why. So first and foremost, as you can see right here, we've got a head and shoulders pattern. I'm not huge on patterns just as far as an exact method here. I think a lot of patterns, they don't end up working like the textbooks tell you how they do. So, but I do like to kind of use them as a general guideline. Okay, you can clearly see we've got a high here, higher high, lower high. So we've got the left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and then we've got this neckline. You can see clearly this is a support level right there, and then you can clearly see right here we broke this support with heavy volume right there. Alright, so that's the head and shoulders pattern. You can see the following day too, we saw some heavier selling right there as well. And if we go back here, you can see right here there's a little cluster of some bigger volume red days as we headed lower into this support, the neckline. You can see right here we had some selling that went on right here. This is right around the earnings reaction, I believe, as well. So we headed lower on earnings. So typically earnings will move stocks in either direction. So we didn't move up. We didn't really move down that much either, but you can clearly see a lot of volume right here came out of the stock. Another thing we're going to look at is back here, you can clearly see that we had a lot of volume, red volume right here on this day. So a lot of volume coming out of this stock. We broke the support with that heavier volume right there. So I do think that this is going to head lower. As far as targets, I think it's going to hit right around 43 to 42. Could head lower, but that's just a conservative target for me as far as that goes. You can see the measured move for the head and shoulders pattern, 54 to 48, that's $6. So we would take that distance and just double it right here. So we've got 48 minus 6 is 42. So that's why I say around 42 to around $43 right there. Another thing I want to point out too is we've got this uptrend line that broke as well. Here's a hit, here's a hit, here's a hit, and you can see we broke it right there. Another thing too that I want to point out is we've got a big level here on American Airlines. You can see this was previous resistance right there. See, it hit right there, right there, right there, right there. Finally, we broke over it, acted as support right here, acted as support here again, and now we're back below that level. So this is going to be considered a false breakout. False breakouts lead to swift moves in the opposite direction. And we didn't know it was going to be a false breakout up here. It just looked like a new high being made. It looked bullish here. But now that we're back below this level, that's going to be considered a false breakout on this stock. The next one we're going to take a look at is Priceline. And Priceline, I'm going to go over a couple things here. Delete this Fibonacci. And I'm going to go over a couple of reasons why I think this stock is going to be headed lower. So I first want to point out that this is very, very similar to the action that we saw. I'm going to show you on the weekly chart here. Weekly chart. To the action that we saw, where was it? Okay, so right here is where we saw this very similar action. You can see some sideways trading right here. We broke out, and this is the weekly chart right here, and then you can see right here we've got this just sideways trading candle, and then boom, we had a heavy volume right there, heavy volume gap down below the 50-day moving average on the daily chart on earnings. So heavy volume, gap down on earnings below the 50-day moving average and back below that resistance. So if you look at the action here, same exact thing happened here for Priceline. You can see this sideways trading right here for Priceline. We broke out to a new high, looked very bullish right here, and then boom, huge gap down on earnings, and then it ended up heading lower. So I want to point out, oh, well, it's gapped down on earnings before, but what happened afterwards is we kind of got a good bounce. So here's that gap down right here. You can see we didn't really break the lows of that day right here. Okay, didn't break the lows, and we traded sideways and got a nice bounce, came back down to retest that level, and then headed higher. Okay, so that's a completely different characteristic than what we're seeing right here. What we saw here is big gap down on earnings below the 50-day moving average. So this is above the 50-day moving average. The 50-day moving average, again, is that red line right here. So gap down on earnings. Oh, it looked like a hammer. Could reverse. Nope, didn't reverse. Sold off on heavy volume the following day, and look at what happened following that. We headed lower with some pretty decent selling volume as well. So definitely the reaction here was bearish. Can we get a bounce here in the near term? Definitely. We can definitely see a bounce here in the near term, but I think that overall that Priceline is going to be headed lower after it breaks this support. So we've got big time support right here. There's that support. We could get a bounce at it at this point in time. We're at, the RSI is at 15. So very likely that we could get a bounce here in the short term. But it will be a blessing in disguise if you want this stock short, because you just get a better entry here now that you've seen this heading lower and you've seen that characteristic. So we can get a big bounce here, 1800 all the way up to 1900. That's a $100 gain right there for the stock, and we're still below the 50-day moving average. So even if we do get a big bounce, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of messages saying, oh, you were wrong about Priceline. Well, I'm not wrong until these highs break here, okay? Not wrong until these highs break. And I do think that if we do head higher into that 1900 range, that's just going to be a good shorting opportunity on a retest of that 50-day moving average. You can see as the 20-day moving average comes down, it's going to cross there, and they're both going to be right there around that 1900 range, which was that gap down level, which is that previous resistance right here that we broke over. So definitely want to be paying attention to that $1,900 level on on Priceline if we do head higher. Next, we're going to take a look at Twitter. And Twitter here, I want to point out a couple things. We had resistance up here from this previous high. We got rejected right there. Next, what happened is we had an earnings release right here, and this was the earnings reaction to that report. Okay, big gap down on huge volume, and you can see we headed lower ever since, and we're just hanging out below those lows. You can see the following couple of days saw some pretty heavy volume as well. So right here, just kind of trading sideways, I believe that we're going to end up breaking this support. But if you like to wait for that, you can wait for a break of that support. That support is 1574. If we break 1574, we're going to head lower to fill this gap down here. All right, we've got support from this candle right there, this candle right there, and right there. So clearly this is a level. And right now we're just hanging out below this level after we sold off huge on earnings. We're back below the 50-day moving average. We're below the 20-day moving average. We've got not a lot going on for Twitter here on the bullish side. And as far as targets, we're going to look at the gap fill right there, about 1466 for Twitter. Thank you for stopping by and watching the video, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed that and learned a thing or two. Again, if you're not already a member at thetradinganalyst.com, sign up for the premium membership, and once you do that, you're going to gain instant access to the profitable trade alerts that our current members are getting on a daily and weekly basis. It's a great opportunity, and we'd love to have you as a member.